I'm on. We're recording, boys. This is going to be a giggle. I've got a couple of me. Yeah, it's recording. Yeah, sorry. I've got a couple of me good mates on. I've really been looking forward to this one for a while, boys. Kieran, Foran, Mitchy, Pearce. Thanks for coming on, boys.
Thanks, Oz.
What's happening, mate? So, yeah, Fozzie looking good. Anything for that?
You're taking the piss off.
No, mate.
You're not a fan of the. You're not a fan of the man bun, Hozzy.
No, you know I am. I tried to grow up myself when I was over in the UK, and I looked more like a sumo wrestler, if I'm being honest, than an actual Japanese samurai. So, yeah, I quickly got rid of that, Fozzie. That wasn't good for myself.
On board. Let's get some stories from the European adventures, Hozza, before we start.
Oh, okay,
much footy get played over there?
Geez, I tell you what, footy was the furthest thing from my mind when I was over there, Drew, if I'm being honest. I went over there for a good time. We had a pretty good crew, as you know, at Catalans. Yeah. Your mate, Toddy Carney, Gifty was over there. Fozzie, one of your mates, who was, we had a good little crew that first year. And, I did some damage in that first year.
I can imagine.
It was a tough carry, but on to you, boys. So what's been happening with you, in particular, since all this has started, when all this went down? I seen Pearcey the other day, you were doing some sort of coaching clinics, throwing it out there for young kids to ask you about their footy skills. Run us through that, mate.
Yeah, just, mate, I was just sitting out the back of the house, a bit bored like all of us. So I just wanted to come up with a little bit of an idea and just give back to a few kids out there. I know when me and Kieran were young, I would have loved a first grade player to, send some skills on passing or kicking to sort of bounce ideas off. So I thought, good little concept, and got some good feedback off the back of it. So I wasn't doing it for any other reason than just to sort of help out and have a bit of fun. But mate, it's been enjoyable.
Yeah, that's unreal, mate. Me and Ice have been speaking about it a fair bit, actually, about players taking advantage of this time. I've sort of been lucky enough where I've sort of just fallen in this, and this has been a bit of fun for me, but it's quite a daunting period when you finish up playing footy. And, you did that to sort of help out some younger kids, but who knows if, that could be something you could do in the future, eh? Coaching.
Well, that's the thing. There's obviously some coaching ideas. Obviously, Kieran, he's done plenty of stuff to give back himself, I'm sure. And, that's just, as a footy player, like I said before, especially as a half, you got access to players, when you're a little kid, and as an older guy that was sending out video tips, I think plenty of kids that benefit off that. So, I think there's an avenue there for all footy players in all positions to do that sort of stuff. I think it's part of our duty to give back, and I think help the next generation.
Imagine getting a few clips from the 8th from Joey back in the day on social media. That would have been pretty handy.
I'll be a better player, that's for sure. I had to learn off Kieran, so I ended up all right.
Yeah, you boys end up all right. On to you,
Fozzie. I was a kick return. I just had to fetch Pearce's balls back in the day.
Yeah, we'll get into that, because you were forced to play in the centres, weren't you, Fozzie, a bit during those younger years? But
yeah, I was left right out, Fozzie.
Yeah, I spent a bit of time out there too, Fozzie. Don't worry about that. You're not alone out there, mate. With your situation in particular, Fozzie, bit of a silver lining. You've been given the opportunity to get a little bit more time to potentially get you back out on the field when all this kicks off, mate.
Yeah, it's been, I guess, obviously it's unfortunate what's going on, but personally for me, all it's done is give me that extra bit of time to get the shoulder right and then get myself ready to hit the field. So I've just been using the time wisely, doing extra work on the body and, as I said, getting myself right so that once and if we do get back into it, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, so with everything that's going on in the climate, you two being, older senior players now, leaders of your clubs, have you been kept well informed about what's going on? Is these dates of potentially May 28th or even a bit later, are they realistic? Are you pretty confident footy will be back up and running soon? Either of you?
You go first, Foz.
Well, yeah, I haven't heard anything other than what's been said, to be honest with you. So I'm keeping up to date with what's coming out in the media. And as far as I'm concerned, they're pushing really hard to get that 28th of May start. And hopefully we can get back training on the 4th of May. So my understanding is there's still a lot of water to pass under the bridge yet, but it would be great if we can get back up and training on the 4th of May.
What about you, Pearcey, from your end?
Yeah, we're all sort of hearing the same sort of stuff as Kez said then. For us, probably similar to every club, we're trying to stay as fit as we can on our own. It's a bit of a challenge trying to come up with stuff when you're sort of on your own or with one of the other boys. But, it's only for a short time. So if you keep your fitness levels up and then still get that month of training going into round one, at the end of the day, we can get back on the field. It's a success for everyone. There's plenty of staff members and players that are, losing a lot of income, a lot of people with families and stuff like that. It's obviously bigger than just us, but there's some coaching staff there and staff members through our club and all the clubs that are not earning a cent. So, as a player, you want to get back, and if we can help that, that's it. The biggest thing we can do is help, put food on their tables and make people happy. Well, I'm keen to get back out there.
Yeah, I think a big thing that goes unnoticed with all this is that even outside of our game, I think people just need that relief, like just a release to just go watch a bit of footy on the weekend, like a little bit of entertainment. There's not much. There's only so many Netflix episodes of The Tiger King that you could watch. Have you boys watched The Tiger King?
I'm mad, mate.
Oh, Exotic Joe. But what about with your situation, Fozzie, on your injury again? What's it like? How's it been with the rehab stuff? Have you been able to keep in touch with the physios and stay on top of that? Or like how are you getting to the gym and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so mainly with us injured boys have been able to get treatment twice a week, which is nowhere near as much as what we'd like to be. When you're in there every day, you can get treated twice a day. So that's been, I guess, a little bit restricted. But, all in all, I've been given programs that I can do from home, equipment that I need to use from home. And, I've just, as I said, I've just used this time to do as much rehab and as many sessions as I can on my shoulder to make sure that once and if we do get back into it, it's as strong as it could be.
Yeah, that's unreal, mate. Rolling from the current stuff, let's take it right back. Let's start from the start with you boys. It's quite a unique story that, two guys that have represented, their country, represented their state, done a lot in the game, sort of started playing together in high school and at junior footy, mate. Tell us about the first time you two boys come together, got weird together. When you first met, mate, and run us through some of those early days, some early stories from the North Sydney days as well.
Yeah, well, Kieran, what age did you guys move over, Foz? It was about...
about 7. Yeah, 7 or 8.
7 or 8. So we went to primary school together. We sort of lived near each other, 2 minutes apart from each other's place. And I remember him and Liam came to my same primary school. And
Mornay, one of the greats.
The Mondog. And then, mate, we just, became best mates from the start. We were hanging out at each other's place. Obviously had a mutual understanding with footy. We loved playing footy. We were always out the back competing, playing games, and it just sort of took off from there. And that's all the good. That was the healthy stories. Plenty of other bad ones, though.
What age did the unhealthy ones start? But Fozzie, back in those days, mate, you were the youngest, were you, out of the 3? So when you were coming through the grades, was Pearcey's playing 7, Nork's playing 6, and you were just filling in wherever you could you?
I was just taking that.
I played 5'8".
Nah.
Was that true?
I used to play 5'8" back then.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. The Mornay was the 7, was he?
Yeah.
Nork was the 7. Kez was front row back then.
I was a bit chubby back then, wasn't I? They're good memories, I think. Just the 3 of us. I don't know, striking up such a great friendship from a young age. And then, as Pearcey said, we all had that one common goal and that one thing in common, which was to make it in the NRL. And we would just drive one another and motivate one another to train every afternoon. And there's no other way to put it, but we actually spent pretty much every afternoon up at the local park together, putting cones out, kicking balls together, practicing our skills. And
come on,
I'm only kidding, boys. I'm only kidding. That's something the Scope did. I can say that now. I'm retired, but
exactly.
No, it was So it was it was really good. I think in that regard, I think we helped one another achieve our dreams, and that's something pretty special.
Yeah, unreal.
I was really lucky. I was obviously I had two sisters in my family, so to meet up with the boys at such a young age and have such a good friendship, and at that age, even just having people to play around with in the backyard. But it was it was. I definitely put a lot of my success in footy down to the days of being able to hang out with the boys and become great mates and learn our footy together. It was a really good journey, and it's probably the more enjoyable times than what footy has been itself. Those days were super fun.
And you had the Roach boys there too, didn't you? Were they around the same age? Is it Daniel Roach?
Yeah, the Roaches. They lived a little bit further away, but I've known Liam.
Liam, sorry. Yeah, Liam.
Since we were little kids, but Roachy used to come and take a few hit ups at the back end of the campaign.
Yeah, that's a good little gang, that. Rolling into the North days, mate. So you ended up playing. You're from North Sydney area, but they didn't have a first grade team. So you end up playing Harold Mats together and all your junior footy there? Well,
Kieran's a year younger, so we played at Asquith Magpies, which was a club out at near Hornsby, Brow way, for anyone who doesn't know. And so we're all in different age groups, but Kieran was that good. He used to always play up an age. I'm not just saying that. He was the gun mate and tough as nails. Kieran's one of the toughest players I've seen.
Easily.
I'm not just saying that because he's a mate. I think everyone that's played with him knows that. But he used to do crazy stuff at that age. There was times when he'd come back from injuries, and I know he's blushing, but it's the truth. He'd come back from injuries and be playing 2 years up against at that age when you're a little white fella too, playing against some big Islanders. Hez would just be in the middle of it, and he was the gun mate. So he'd always play up, and we had a good little crew playing through those junior days.
Gee, I think you went all right too, though, Pearcey.
Yeah. You're taking the limelight off yourself, Junior.
Yeah, you're good like that, Drew. That's what I said to Ice the other day. It's and we're talking about your engagement too, by the way, on
Thanks,
the show
mate.
and go. Congratulations, brother. Happy for you.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, it's I'm really looking forward to it all. It's a special moment. You're next, Oz. You're next.
Yeah, mate. I'm due. I'm getting there. Fozzie, with your going back to the North Sydney days, could you envision staying there at North if they had a first grade team? What was that like for you, coming through, knowing that there was no first grade team, and potentially moving on, becoming so close with Liam and obviously Liam's your brother, but becoming so close with Mitchy? Were there any thoughts of trying to stick together, or hoping a first grade team comes to North Sydney?
Yeah, for sure. I think we were really passionate about playing for North Sydney Bears. Like as Pearcey said, it was our junior club, and that was sort of where we played all our first rep footy. And me and Mitch played in the match together. We did play in the match together, at North Sydney.
When you're saying, I'm just trying to we played at the Bears there because the district Asquith competition was in that area for Harold Mats. But I'm pretty sure the year after. Did you sign with Manly the year after? And that's when I went.
Yeah, but I think we played. I think I played up with Mats with you with North Sydney. But geez, our memories and
once again, you're playing above your age once again, Fozzie. So we've sort of got back to that, haven't we?
It's still heroic.
I remember I was scoring plenty of tries off Pearce's long balls because he was just putting me on the outside of centre.
Hey, I tell you what, we're going to get to that long ball too, because that's where Pearcey does his best work, on that left or right. Don't worry about that. Yeah. And there's a big moment later on.
The good memories with our school. We had our school side at Maris never really had too much footy success. So we had a pretty good team, obviously, at the time, with Kieran, Liam and me in the side, and a couple other of our mates who were pretty decent footy players too. But the school that we went to, Maris, we went to, hadn't had too much footy success. So that was probably the funnest days playing together, where we're playing first grade at school and for a couple of years, and it was good. Like, the school hadn't had too much success and got a couple of grand finals and the win. So that was good for the school. I don't think they've been there since, have they, Foz?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, part of that.
That's a huge memory, that one. I've never forgotten that moment. When we went to the grand final, we played at Leichhardt, didn't we, against Cogra Maris?
Yeah,
cracking game. It was. That was huge.
How good are those early memories when, obviously, then you probably would have gone on and eventually started getting paid to play rep footy after that point. You remember those moments in particular, because it's not a job at that point. Like as soon as you start getting paid for it, I think it lessens. It takes a little bit of the authenticity. That's a big word. Sorry, boys. Away from it, doesn't it?
No, it definitely does, mate. I think, like we were just saying, like Kieran said, the memories of the school days, grand finals, your schoolboy teams. Even you played flag together. I was back at the Roosters, and those days before the pressure really starts. Obviously, it's a great life in top sport. We've been very blessed to be able to play for a long time, but those early days are distant memories now as you're getting a bit older. But there's certainly memories that you always cherish.
Yeah, speaking of playing up an age like you were with Fozzie, that's when we first met, mate. In the under-20s, you come over, little whippersnapper Juzel, trying to get into the Greenwood together. Those are some good memories, weren't they?
I took me out. I was 16, got kicked out with a fake ID.
And I tell you what, the skate was doing his best to get him back in all night. Don't worry about that. We're going around the back stairs.
You always looked after me, the Hoz. They were awesome days. But you vouch for that, Hoz. Those days you look back on are some of your best memories. Yeah,
you see Troy Savage posted the other day our old 20s photo together.
Yeah. I had a rat style back then.
Yeah, that's right. With a little bit of blonde tinge in it, I believe. You got a little bit of blonde in it?
It was too.
That'll be 15 years next year, mate. We're due a catch up.
I haven't seen.
So then Fozzie. Sorry, mate. Sorry, finish that, Pearcey.
Did you organise it, mate? 15-year reunion. I'm down.
Yeah, done. We'll get it done. So touching on those early years then. So from memory, if memory serves correct, I think you did a couple of years in 20s and you pretty much go straight into first grade. Did you play much Reggies?
Just me?
Yeah, you, Drizzle.
Yeah. I went from the 20s, training full-time the year after, and then went into first grade. I think Kieran had a pretty similar path, but mate, it was a great move. Obviously going to the Roosters. Obviously spent so long there, and now I'm truly a Knight and loving it up here and the new journey that I'm on up here with a great club. But to spend that long at the Roosters and get the opportunity to go there as a kid, I was very blessed that I got to get that path. No different, I'm sure, with Manly, where we're both strong clubs and great for your development. And not all players get that luxury of going to clubs where you do get fast-tracked and you get into a system where there's a lot of good players and a lot of experienced rep players around you. So I'm very blessed and grateful that sort of worked itself out and I made that choice at a young age.
Yeah, well, you alluded to it there, Fozzie. You've both come into some really strong cultures. Tell us about those early days of Manly when you went over there. Obviously that debut game was such a big game. We've spoke about that a couple of times before. And then coming into such a, I was lucky enough to be involved in that culture as well. Tell us about those early days with some guys that you're still really good mates with now, Snakey, Gifty, Chocky, all the boys.
Yeah, it was just surreal at the time, to be straight out of school and straight into that side, training with guys that I'd looked up to, just a few years before that, being around them every day and learning from them. Like that was just an unreal experience, and that's what really grew my game to the next level. And I think when you're that young, you're just soaking so much up around the blokes around you, and that's all I was doing. And like Pearcey said, we went into such great teams and great squads, great coach in Desi Hasler, and just so many experienced blokes around me that it made my job so much easier and my transition into first grade so much smoother. And they're just great memories from those times at Manly. You were a part of them when you came over in 13, and just to be playing finals footy every year is something that you definitely take for granted at the time. And it's not until you get on in your career that you realise just how hard it is to be finishing top 4 and top 8 in this competition.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the early success. Rolling into you, Drizzle, because I tried to do the timeline. We'll get to 13 eventually, where it's happier days. But let's talk about 2010 in particular, mate. That year, Toddy was on fire. You were on fire. Run us through how that year was, the experience of going to the grand final. Just this roller coaster. Like you're still relatively young. You're a pup in the game still, but I think you've probably played nearly close to 100 games already. you've rolled through the games too, Pearce, haven't you?
Yeah, hanging in there, mate.
500.
Now, what we spoke about those early memories, I reckon there's years when you have sort of breakthrough moments or breakthrough years where you look back and go, oh, that was a real stepping stone to different things through your career. And 2010 was a real breakthrough year for me. Played a couple of years of first grade. That was a sort of year where I sort of wanted to step up and really be, you start to find your feet a bit more, like you said, after 180 to 100 games, especially as a half. It was a dream season that year for us. Like you said, Toddy was unbelievable. Me and him formed a really good friendship and a really good combination. We had a lot of the boys that are now, 30, 31. Boy Gordon was a bit younger, but, Mitch Orbison, Jared Hargraves, Jake Friend, we're all 20, 21-year-old kids. So looking back, that was a year where we sort of really started all to believe in ourselves. I think we got a lot of confidence. We obviously didn't get the job done to win the grand final. We played against the Dragons team that were pretty red hot that year and pretty hard to break. But to be a part of that grand final, that year really gave me a lot of confidence. And I got in the Origin that year, and it was just, like I said, there's times I reckon when you look back when you're older and think about breakthrough moments or choices or, seasons that have helped you, and that was definitely one.
That was the same year that the Scope debuted too, by the way, boys. So there's no surprises that you had your best year there. You're pumped that Scope was part of the league. But we'll roll on to you, Fozzie, into the next year, mate. 2011, you're lucky enough to roll, not lucky enough, you earn it, but in your first couple of years, you win a grand final in 2011, mate. Tell us about that year.
Yeah, well, not too dissimilar to what Pearce was just saying. 2011 for myself was, that sort of changing moment in my career where I felt like I was able to be able to put my mark on games of footy. And I think as a side, we really found our style of footy that we wanted to play. And, we had so many experienced guys that were at the top of their game. And then we had the blend of youth as well. Cherry Evans had
your gun
debuted.
20s team, eh?
Yeah, Cherry Evans made his debut that year, and I think he had the best debut year of anyone. Like, it was just out of this world, and everyone was playing so well, and we obviously went on to win the premiership that year, and that was a dream come true. That early on in your career, you definitely don't. I guess you don't appreciate just how hard they are to come by. Like I said, we probably took it for granted a bit, just being blessed with the great footy side and so many great players in the one team. So, as I said, it's a moment I look back on, and I'm so proud I was able to get there in my career. But very grateful to be a part of such a great side.
For both, I'll go back to you, Drew, for this one. During those years to taste that success, was there anyone in particular, coaches, players, that you can sort of identify as was a big part of your growth during those years to get you to that position, or even, we're going to talk about 13, so getting down to 2013, around those years, finding yourself?
Yeah, the guys that are really helpful for me coming through, Craig Fitzgibbon was my captain the first year when I debuted, and he obviously knew Fitzy at the club in the juniors when Fitzy was there. He's still a friend of mine, and he was a super mentor for me at that age. He really gave me a lot of confidence. At that age, and we all know, when you're that age and you look at these blokes that are older than you with starry eyes, the way they treat you and the way they look after you has a big bearing on your career. And you value that so much when you get older. And as a leader now, you're conscious of that. It's a big responsibility to make sure you're giving back to the younger boys as much as you can. But, Fitzy, Anthony Minicello is still a great mate of mine, and he was a super friend at the time, looked after me big time. Braithen Aston was another one. Even guys, Mark O'Mealy and Willie Mason that were there at the time.
How good's Mace?
The guys that, big Mace. He was always a good time, the Mace.
Yeah, fucking wasn't he? He was part of that crew too. I think I left his name out. He was over there in France. Jeez. Dave Taylor. I missed a couple.
But mate, you honestly do. You look back on those days, and if it wasn't for the leadership from those boys and their friendship and their confidence they instilled in you, your career could have gone different ways. I know it's obviously up to your own self-belief and your own drive as well. But the senior players play a big bearing on how you approach your footy, especially as a young half, because you're running a team, and Kieran had vouched for that. I'm sure he had the same relationship with Glennie Stewart and Chock and all the boys there. So, but they give you a lot of confidence. And I look back and I'll always be forever grateful for those people who looked after me when I was younger coming in. And you never forget those relationships, and they have a big bearing on your career.
Yeah, some of those names that Pearce mentioned, Foz, they'd be right up there, wouldn't they?
Yeah, so true what he's saying. When you're a young bloke and you come into a team like that, surrounded by blokes who are at the top of their game. For myself, it was no different. To name a few, obviously the Stewart boys, who I'm still great mates with now. They played a massive role. So, Brett Stewart was the fullback at the time, at the top of his game, and being a young half, I'll never forget, the tips he was giving me at 18, 19, just about how he wanted me to go deep into the line and create space for him. That was something that I guess built my game on. And to this day is something that I still build my game on is trying to create space for my fullback out the back. And Brett had a massive bearing on that. Jockey Watmel was huge for me. Someone that took me under his wing from the moment I walked through the door, made me feel comfortable. Real team bloke, just had your back on and off the field. A real great mate. And, the list goes on for me, learning off guys like Jamie Lyons, Stevie Maddai, Jason King, Brent Kite. Like, they were all just great leaders in their own rights. And, that, as Mitch said, when you get on in your career, you want to try and emulate how those guys were to you, to the younger boys around the joint, because they had a massive impact on creating and helping me become the player that I am today.
When I hear you say those names, Fozzie, and we start thinking about players these days, like, you boys are a little bit older now, getting there in your career where you're the senior players and leaders of your team. That Manly team in particular, geez, it was just a team full of men, wasn't it? Like, I remember when I coming through, I was just like, I was. Oh, what's going on? Does that come through? The mic stuff up then?
Yep.
No, yeah.
Hold on, it says my internet connection is unstable. Is that all right? Am I sweet now?
Sweet.
Yeah, like, when you think of those boys and you hear those names, it just like, it's probably the last like full proper team of like veteran men that like sort of old school footy players sort of like, they're footy players and there's footy players. Footy players know who they are. Does that make sense to both of you two?
Absolutely. Playing against that crew, and I totally understand what you're saying. They had a hard. You'd sort of be envious of the Manly culture a bit. I know when Kieran was coming through there, but it was the way that they seemed like they were a group of blokes that loved having a beer. They loved a good time. They were knockabouts. They were man's mans, if that's what you get to sort of say.
Yeah. I'm trying to get to that, yeah.
But playing against them, it was going to be brutal. And on top of that, they were natural footy players. And you're right, it's hard to get that balance and that crew of people that are so tight and at a senior level and winning comps. I suppose Melbourne have had that with, when they had the big three and, some of their leaders. The Roosters we managed to have that through some of the class we had there through a few years. But it is rare to get that. But you're right, the Manly boys had something a bit different about it. They were a bit more almost park footy-like, where they just take you on anywhere and play physical and tough, and you always knew you're up for a battle, but they had class. So it was a unique crew you had there, Foz.
Yeah, it was, mate. Yeah. I think just taking on board what you guys were saying there, it's it's hard to describe it. I think those guys, you would look at them today and you'd think they just wouldn't last in the professionalism and the way that we do things today with all the technology and just the way the game is now. Everyone's so professional. I just don't think they would have had time for it.
It's not from the coaches towards the players. It's the players towards the coaches. They would have just those boys would have been, what? Fuck
they wouldn't have bothered. They wouldn't have bothered, and that probably just sums up what you're talking about, a unique group, that were just all about turning up for the 80 minutes and doing whatever they had to do to get the win, but didn't want the bullshit in between, still ripped into training and whatnot, but
100%.
just the last of that sort of as you said, that real blend of just out and out footballer and just a bloke who just wants to still enjoy life and get together with their mates and
get a charger.
Yeah, Drizzle's on the move.
Give me 1 sec.
When you settle that down, mate, we'll get into a few tussles in 13. How about that?
Yes, I was up and under your ribs every game we played, Jack.
Oh, mate, it was fuck. That was funny, eh? Like just sitting on the edge, knowing you so well, and you just
Geez, we used to try and spot you up, Jude, but you weren't giving us much.
Turning up, mate. That edge was brutal. You know, you had you, Snake, and Kieran coming down there. In all seriousness, it was fucking hard. I was just lucky I had Sonny Williams and some other genius outside me. You won't get that very often, will you?
I think you had a bit of an easier task than what we did with the scope running at you compared to Sonny Bill and DeFozzie, if I'm being honest.
You got into him in the grand final, Kieran, that first half. I remember you were helping him.
Unreal. Sonny had to go to the middle of the field to go get some glory. He didn't want any of Fozzie, I tell you that much.
Yeah.
Now, so let's talk about some of those encounters, mate, throughout those years. When you get back, we'll talk about it, Fozzie, when Drizzle comes back. They had the wood on us in 13. They beat us in every game, but fuck, there was some good contests.
Yeah, cracking games. I think we've spoken about it before, Hoz. Like those games throughout that year with the Roosters were just epic battles. And geez, that semi-final game, like that was that's a cracker. I think Junior would. Yeah, that was for a low-scoring game. I don't think I've ever been involved in a better game of footy. Like for a low-scoring game of footy, to this day in my career, I think that goes down as one of the all-timers. So, that was. I think whoever came out better on that night was gonna have the easier run. In the end, the Chooks they came out 4-0 up, and we had the tougher road to the grand final.
The hard thing with that, the funny thing with that game, and how amazing the game was. Hey, when you watch it back, there was so much footy being played. You guys obviously had you and Cherry and Snake and the rest of the team, but the attacking footy, like you'd think with a 4-0 game, it would have been an average game to watch, but the standard of footy was unbelievable. It just showed how good the defence was, wasn't it? So that was definitely one of the hardest games I've ever been involved with.
Yeah, me and Fozzie spoke about this before. I feel like that was, when we lost that game, that was the grand final for us. I know we got off to a bit of a start in the grand final when you pegged us back, but I felt like both teams put so much effort into that game. I remember trying to turn up for the game the next week against the Sharks, and I was just it's a semi-final. I'd never played finals footy before, and I just didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
But then we play South. Let's talk about that feeling that Fozzie tasted it in 2011, and then you get to taste it in 2013, mate. After the 2010 loss, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I was only watching a thing. I saw Braith on Fox the other night, and I only to bring it up. He spoke about, and I've never really heard him say this, but he spoke about how you have to lose a grand final to win one. It's obviously not the same case with Kes. They won the first one, but you're more appreciated the second time around. And I think what Braith said was he was an older guy in 2010. He remembered looking at all us younger boys sort of having a bit of a laugh after the game. Without being disrespectful, we'd sort of probably the mood that we were in 2010 was we were just happy. We're not happy to be there. We were hungry to win. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't. There's something different. It was just you feel proud in yourself that you've achieved the ability to get to a grand final. Probably from where we came that year. In 13, it was a different feeling. It was this is it. This may never ever come around again. We had the hurt of losing one. For me personally, I'd lost Origin that year. I had plenty of those moments until last year, but. So for me, it was a really big game personally. I had a lot to prove, and I felt you just know those moments where you just feel something. You needed to nail it. You needed to nail it as a club. And obviously playing against Manly, it was a roll of toss of the coin who was going to get up. It was just both teams. To be honest, looking across the rosters, you won't get too many teams that are of a similar standard. Through that era, it was two very quality teams. So I think it was more of a feeling of relief to win that game, and the way we came back when you boys sort of almost had our measure for a lot of that game. Just the emotion to win it was crazy, and the emotion was so high because of everything I just said that went into it going into the game.
Yeah, And for you, Fozzie, obviously winning one, you never wanted to lose it. But what was it like as a mate with Pearce's? And like he touched on, is some of the origin stuff that was going on around that time for him to get that win. Was it a weird feeling, like you sort of like half happy for him in a way, or did you just want fuck that? You just wanted to win it.
I was filthy.
He would have wanted to win.
I know you were filthy, but like, is there a little bit in it, or?
Oh, no, I think now looking back on it, you see, like at the time, you're caught up in the moment, and we had just we'd been beaten on the night, and we'd been in control of that game for 60 minutes. Like, you know, to lose and allow a team back into a game with 20 minutes to go in a grand final would just eat you. But as time's gone on, and I guess, you know, you start to heal from those losses. Like you said, being a great mate of Pearce's and being able to see him enjoy in his first premiership that year, I mean, it's a great moment to, I guess, you know, to be proud of him and see what he was able to do that night. So it's mixed feelings, but obviously you go into the grand final, you just you want to come out on the winner's side, but you know, they were the better team, and you know, I think we just ran out of gas with 20 minutes to go, and they had the class and the strike to be able to pick us back.
Yeah, all right. So you're moving on from the grand final. Obviously, we'll touch on the grand final. So in 13, would you like with the success that you've had during that year? A couple of years down the road, you both find yourselves at different clubs in different circumstances. Could you ever envision that in 13 and run us through, you know, some of the decisions or what impacted all that, and you know how that felt? Because I know how much you love, both of you equally love Manly and Roosters respectively. Drew, you want to touch on your one first, and we'll go to Fozzie?
Yeah. So mine was obviously a few years after that. What was it? 5 years after that grand final that I moved up here to Newcastle. It was, mate, the circumstances were strange at the time. But mate, at the end of the day, the way I look at it now, it's been the best move for me coming up to Newcastle, and everything happens for a reason. Without being corny, it really does. It was obviously strange at the time, because I probably never thought I was going to leave the Roosters. You know, I was on track to be one of the most capped players there. You know, it was the place I'd only ever played, and I came off a decent year in 2017. We weren't able to get over the line, but I think I ended up getting Players Player of the Year or Members Player or something. So I didn't have a bad year. So yeah. I just re-signed. So it was more the circumstances, the unknown, how it sort of spooked up, and all the media around it. It was more of the awkwardness or the weird sort of surprise. But mate, at the end of the day, it's been a great move. Like I said, Roosters have gone on, signed probably one of the best top 2-3 halfbacks of all time in Cooper Cronk, and have got 2 premierships back to back for the first time since 1990 something. So they got their money's worth. Their decision was smart, and for me, this has been the best move for me for a lot of reasons. I'm really enjoying the journey. I absolutely love Newcastle. I absolutely love the club. Probably definitely matured as a leader up here, and I've just been engaged to my fiancée Kristen. Who knows, if I was in Sydney, I might not have met her. So there's so many good things that come when you open doors, isn't it? Yeah, so mate, I'm grateful. Would have I thought that I would have left the Roosters early days? Maybe not. But as you get a bit older, nothing else. You actually look forward to the anticipation of what's next. That's how I see life.
Yeah, I remember I ran into you. I don't know if you remember this. I ran into you at Ravisi's when I was back in the and I ran into you, and I think at that point you were deciding maybe between Manly, because I had Ches in my ear, was going, fuck, is Pissy going to come over? I think you went for a visit and all. And I remember speaking to you, and you go, like, Hoz, I think I'm going to go to the Knights. And you seemed relieved with it, like you seemed excited about it. I was expecting you to be a little bit more down, to be honest, but you seemed like you touched on how much you enjoyed in Newcastle. It seemed like you were really enjoying the prospect once everything had settled and you'd made that decision. Yeah,
well, you look forward to the new challenge. Once you deal with all the stuff that goes on at the start and the way that it became a bit of a media fanfare, you sort of move on. I had my choice that I was going to move on. That was in my instinct and my heart. I wanted to move on, and that was the best thing for both of us, the Roosters and me, I suppose. And And then it was about picking the right club. They were obviously all option. I was flattered, mate. And Kieran's probably the same when he's changed clubs. It's a great feeling to feel wanted. We can't run away from that. We all love. It's great to be loved. It's great to feel wanted. It's great for people to want you to be a part of their club. And I got a lot of support from not only just the teams, but some players that were key players in a few teams that offered me contracts. And for me, that was a really nice feeling, especially after a bit of a kick in the guts with the Roosters situation, and obviously getting moved on for a pretty decent player. But to get that support from other players, it makes you feel pretty good. I'm pretty sure every player would say the same thing, and that's why I was really excited about the challenge. And I picked the right club for sure. It's been an awesome journey. We're developing every week as a club, taking steps forward, and we're in a really good place. So it's been awesome.
You got some nice pieces there. And with Fozzie, your story is a little bit different. You tell us. You tell us all about your story, mate. Like, how you come about the decision and how that was for you to break that news to the boys and, sort of let everyone know you're going to move on from Manly.
Yeah, well, not too dissimilar to what Drew was saying. I think when you come into a side and you're creating so many great memories at a club, you never think you're going to leave. I was of the same opinion and view that I would be a one-club player and play my entire career at Manly and stay there and never have to move. But for me, it's something started to change, I think, in about 2015. We had a few blokes finishing up and moving on, and I felt like I needed a change. Something had changed in me. I felt like potentially I just needed a different environment, a different challenge. Maybe I was going slightly stale where I was, and I felt like making a move and going to Parramatta at the time would be the right move for my career. Brad Arthur had been an assistant at Manly a few years prior to me leaving, and I'd really enjoyed my time under him. I felt like he really helped grow my game, and I think once he got that gig at Parramatta, I think in the back of my mind, I was thinking that when things started to change at Manly and I was feeling like I needed the change, that was definitely for me the right option was to follow Brad.
Yeah, he's unreal like that. I think we speak a fair bit about BA, and we'll sort of get to where you're at now, Pearce, because when I picked you for a Daily M at the start of the year, I could tell there's a certain different confidence that like when I spoke to you about the new coach, Adam O'Brien or Aidan O'Brien? Adam O'Brien, isn't it?
Adam,
yeah. When we had that brief chat about coming on the pod, I could just hear a certain confidence that you had in your voice when you speak about a coach that I don't know anything about Brownie. I was gone during those years, but I had a feeling, I had a sneaky suspicion you're in for a big year. You're feeling like low key, pretty confident. It makes a big difference when you get a connection with a coach like that, doesn't it?
Adam's, I can't speak highly enough of Adam as a coach. He's a new age coach. It's been great for the club. He's been great for me as far as leadership and as a captain. I went through challenges last year, and you sort of, when you finish how you do and your old coach gets moved on, there's a lot of pressure going on. You do doubt yourself a little bit, or you look within about how you can rebound and lead your men better the year after. And from the day Adam walked in, he's really trusted me and trusted the whole group, but especially me as a captain. He believed in me. He told me, I want you as my man to lead forward. And he's just really someone, like you said, you connect with different blokes. There's different character traits. And some men you just, you sort of connect with more as a coach, but probably as a mate as well. And I just feel like he's just a really good guy to relate to. And the way he leads the team is something that as a leader, that's somewhat similar traits to how I want to be as a leader. And he's just been great. He's really helped me. And I could say the same for all the boys. He's just really raised the standard. He's a winner. He's been involved in a lot of grand finals and a lot of great players. So he understands the characters that are needed to perform. And he's really he pushes you hard, but I can't speak highly enough of him. He's a great coach.
Yeah, and going back to you, Fozzie, just talking about the changes and when all that happened. Both of you sort of went through some tough times on and off the field. We don't have to delve into the incidents specifically, but what did you both learn about yourselves during those times, during those tough times? Because I know, we spoke. You just get weird together, or how was that? Yeah, how were those times, boys?
Something must have gone wrong in our childhood. We all ended up in shit.
You all end up getting in shit at the same time, around the same time.
Yeah,
it was like you were still competing with each other in the backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
look,
off the field.
Yeah. Grouse.
You can have a laugh about it now, but look, it's certainly something you look back on and I don't know. I chat about it regularly with my wife, you know, about going through tough times and having the experience that I've had over the last 4 or 5 years, and obviously in 2016 some really difficult moments in my professional career, but also in my personal life. And you can look at it two ways. You can sort of go, shit, I wish that didn't happen to me, and I wish I didn't have to go through that. Or you can say, you know what, those moments and those really dark times and those experiences help I guess give me the experience and help make me the man I am today. So I never envisioned, as I said, as a younger bloke, my career looking the way it looks now. I never thought I'd be at my fourth club. I never thought I would have had to walk out on the game in 2016 to take a break. I never thought any of those things, but you can't predict certain things in your life. You can't predict when everything's going to fall apart. And you do your best at the time to try and keep your head above water. And sometimes it's just you've got to go through these experiences to learn as well, and help grow you as a man. I was young, dumb, and immature, and I had to take a hit, and I had to take some falls to grow up. And I'm grateful now that I've been able to bounce back and rebuild and come out the other side. And you know, now I've got a wealth of knowledge in those areas that can hopefully help other people not have to go through them.
One thing for me that stands out for you, Fozzie, is was my mic still in? Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One thing that stands out now, Fozzie, for me is especially the post that you've been given with regards to the update of your injuries, keeping everyone aware of, you know, what that sort of grind feels like. And you're seeing guys like Jordan Kahu, Jack Bird jump on the back of it. And I think it's really important, for you to put that message out there that it's okay to let fans know that you don't want to be injured. Whereas I probably couldn't have seen you posting something like that a couple of years ago.
For sure. Yeah. No, I've always been a closed book and never really wanted to put myself out there too much. And, you know, as life's gone, I've had a wretched run with injury and had to deal with some pretty big issues in my life. And I think for me now, it's about showing people a deeper side to me, letting people see a vulnerable side as well. And just
we like getting deep, don't we? We've got deep before, haven't we, boys? After park life. Go on, sorry, Fozzie.
That was a big time, that
one. Sorry, keep going.
I missed it.
Yeah. What about you, Trues, or some of those tough times as well, mate? Like, you know, one thing that stands out in particular, and we'll get to the good stuff in 2020, don't worry, brother, but, you know, there's some of those origin times where, you were getting hammered from pillar to post all the time. You talked about, you know, some insecurities with footy. What were that? Are you still there, brother? Oh, yeah. So were you?
Gotcha.
What were those times like for you? Did you ever doubt yourself? Did you ever doubt your footy ability, whether you could be successful at that arena?
Oh, mate, yeah. You go through coming into first grade like a lot of boys, especially the way me and Kieran did at a young age as a halfback with a lot of expectation. There's a lot of external noise that you have to go through. You get a bit older and you look back and you sometimes have to take a breath and go, wow, that was traumatic at times. Like it's not till you get a bit older that you look back and you see it for what it is. I definitely in a clearer, more stable place. Has been obviously 31 now that you see it from a bit more for what it was. But there was definitely times there. You know, Origin was a big part of that. Even just week to week pressure and success to deliver for your team. And a lot of that was brought on from my own self. It was never, you know, this paper talk and that sort of stuff wasn't the thing that really ever got, you know, would ever play with my head. It was more your own expectation of what you wanted to deliver and not letting your teammates down, your family down, and yourself down. And as a halfback, you know, that's why I have so much admiration for halves that have played for a long time and dealt with things in their career, like Kieran, like Daly Cherry-Evans, Cooper Cronk, Thurston. There's so much that goes into it, and you carry a lot of that burden as a half, and you haven't got time, especially when you're younger, to run away from it. You got to front up week after week, day after day. And at a time when you're young, where you're probably not emotionally mature enough at times, but you got to find a way. Don't get me wrong. On the other side, it's a great life and a blessed life, and we're living the dream. But you asked me about the darker side, and that's certainly something that's a battle that you've got to go through it. You've got to go through it. It's not just halves. I think a lot of footy players would speak about the same sort of stuff if you wanted to get deep about that sort of side. But yeah, I think, you know, that probably led me to, you know, there's other times too that added other pressures, you know, getting in trouble, obviously the Australia Day thing and other little things that, you know, there was no one else's fault but myself being childish, immature and haven't been an idiot really. So, yeah, and that's stuff that only adds on more pressure. But I think the biggest thing, and that's something as you get older and you've went into coaching, and I'd have a real compassionate side towards younger guys and how their mental well-being is, because you do go through a lot of roller coaster as a footballer, as a sportsman, and a lot of expectation and a lot of pressure. That's what we get paid a lot of money for, and why we got to deliver. It's why we do it. But there is a darker side there too for people.
Yeah, and Roland, let's finish off with a bit of positivity though, boys. Rolling into 2020, I got a bit negative, sorry there, boys, but I think it's important that younger players, or, you know, in any aspect of life, know that, there's going to be hard times and you've got to come out of it. And you boys, well and truly, I think, come out of it in 2020. Foz, you ended the year really well. You finished off playing for the Kiwis. Yeah, you got injured in that game, but talk to us about, you know, how good that felt to be playing the footy you wanted to play at the end of the year, and then get yourself back into the Kiwis team.
Yeah, well, you know, I suffered still a few unfortunate injuries through last year, and you know, just things that were out of my control. But I did feel that last year I started to regain a bit of that footy that I'd played in previous years. I felt like I was starting to get back to the top of my game again. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to be you know, called into that New Zealand squad at the end of the year, and having been out of that team for a few years and to get the call up, yeah, it was a pretty special moment, you know, to think that I'd been able to turn my career around and put in all the hard effort to you know, get a recall back into that side. So yeah, it's been good. There's still a lot of work to do yet, but you know, to think that things are on the up now, you know, from where they were is pretty cool. So it's something that I'm just gonna, you know, keep working on as hard as I can to get back to the top of my game and play the footy that I know I can still play.
And Jersel, on to you, mate. Started the year unreal there at the Knights. Probably didn't end the way you wanted it, missing out on the finals, but the origin stands out in particular, mate. Me and Fozzie spoke. We caught up for a coffee a couple of weeks ago before all this went down, and we'll just, you know, in particular, like we said, your fucking best weapon, you left to right, you rip it right out there, and it fucking wins the game for you, boys. Like, what was that like, mate? It must have been fucking such a cool moment.
Yeah, I can't claim that try, Hoz, I think.
Yes, you can, mate. Yes, you fucking can, Drew. That left to right was fucking on the money. They fucking, you know what, like, I know you're trying to play it down, mate, but to throw that sort of under the pressure that you'd been under, but you fucking, it's like deep down you knew you'd done the fucking reps. And yeah, runners, sorry, mate, to cut you off, but don't sell yourself short there, bud.
Yeah. Nah, mate, it was an unbelievable moment. I was like, to be honest with you, like, we were so on top of Queensland for the last 15, 20, 30 minutes of that game. Like, we could have run in a couple more tries, and you just felt it. When you're in the game, you just know you're totally on top. And then for them to get back in the game was, I'll tell you what, I only had a heart attack when that last try went over, and I went, "Fuck, here we go."
Yeah.
But mate, I was in a really confident space going into that game. I was playing some of my best football, and I was really owning big moments for the Knights during that period. And in that time, I wanted to get my hands on the ball. And Freddie encouraged the group to, within his coaching in New South Wales, he's encouraging the boys to pass the ball and play what they see. And a real confident environment there now. So, mate, it went to plan. And to see Teddy go over there, mate, it was a moment that is ranked in at least my top 5 of all time in my own life. It was great.
He could have turned around and popped you the ball so you could score yourself. Surely.
I look back at that footage all the time, and I'm under the post. Yeah. I know, if only he hits me, it would have been the dream. But it's mate, honestly, it was an unbelievable feeling, and just to do it, just to be a part of that feeling after a game and see everyone happy in the sheds and all your family. It's Kieran and yourselves won plenty of big games. Nothing beats that. When you finish playing footy, that euphoria that you get out of that, you're not going to get that very often.
Yeah, that's unreal, boys. And just finishing off, exciting times with regards to the footy. Fozzie, you'll hopefully get back out on the field when the season kicks back off. Is that like you said, is that realistic? You think you'll be ready to go? And are you excited about? Yeah, you had a couple of losses with that young Bulldogs team, but fuck, they had a red hot crack in both games.
Yeah, they did, mate. Really excited. So, we're not far off. We were close in both those games at the start of the year, and I'm confident that once we get back into it, we'll tweak a few things and fix up the areas that we want to get better at, and give this thing a red hot crack this year. We've got a great bunch of lads, great bunch of staff that just want us to be at the top of our game every week. And if we keep working as hard as we're working, it's going to turn for us. So exciting times ahead.
And Juzel 2-0. It was almost like it would have been a bit of a kick in the guts for you boys, because a couple of really good performances, and you want to just keep rolling when you get a couple of wins. And like I said, the scope had you for Daly M, and that was looking good after 2 weeks as well.
Is that still on? Are those awards still on, or what's the go?
Fucking, I don't know. Better be. If it ends today, I wonder if are you in the lead? Did you get 4-3? You probably don't even know.
Short price, son.
I haven't looked, mate.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you've been crunched right in, because I've got a bit of a loyal follow. I know you've listened to the scope, but just in case you don't, boys, I've got a bit of a loyal following here from the punters, and geez, when I get on something, they come and load up too.
Load up. No, it's mate, we did start well. It was disappointing, but mate, the whole universe is struggling at the moment, so I can't really complain. We just got to do our part, I suppose, without being a cliche. It sucks, but you just got to do your thing. And mate, all the boys are working hard. Pretty sure every NRL player will be working hard to stay fit, so you're ready to go when you get back. But our boys, we've got a great group up here. Boys are hungry, and we just want to get back on the field and compete as hard as we can.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thanks again, boys. I love you both. Thanks for coming on. I know you don't do these things too much, so I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we can talk a little bit footy at another time later on, hey?
Good crew, this.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks, boys.
Mate.
See you, brother.
See you, Joe.